I'm doing good.
Tell that gnome you're his daddy.
Hey, Gnome, I'm your father. It's good to finally meet you,
Richie.
even under these strange circumstances.
Hello everyone and welcome back to another Backlot Banter movie review. My name is Tucker Hazel. Today I am joined by my Cox Goblin co-host Tanner Dykstra, and today we're here to talk about Strays. It's a new raunchy comedy starring some famous names, but guess what? This time, they're dogs.
They're dogs?
What a twist, they're dogs now? We're going to talk about Strays, a movie that we have been memeing quite a bit over the last few months with this trailer that would not stop playing for us. But we've seen it now, and if you have seen Strays or any of the other movies releasing this August, I got a ton of classics. Gran Turismo, Blue Beetle, Meg 2, TMNT, Mutant Mayhem. It's crazy. It's crazy out there. Mm-hmm. You can join our Discord, link in the description. And while you're down there in the description, below that is the comments. I don't know, Tanner, I'm running out of ideas of telling people to comment. You want to come with one this time? How about that? Slacker?
What was the name of your childhood pet?
Sure, how about that, huh? Yeah, let's get wholesome today, because Strays is a wholesome movie. Tanner, we have seen Strays.
I agree.
You got to see it with a full crowd, everyone cheering, screaming, clapping.
Everyone was busting a gut. You couldn't hear the movie over all the people laughing. No, there was probably 6 other people in the theater, aside from us and our friends.
The early opening night, the Thursday opening night?
Yes, for Thursday previews.
Yeah. How what did you think?
I don't have a lot to say about Strays, just because I found it pretty unfunny.
Sure.
Frankly, it just doesn't have a sense of humor that aligns with my own.
Yeah,
I think. A couple of the jokes got me, but by and large, it's what can I say nice about it? It's pithy. It's short. It's relatively well paced. I think we're moving from one comedic set piece to the next, but they are just not comedic set pieces that entertained me to the degree of God, I love Strays.
Yeah.
I was laughing so much. I probably laughed, I can probably count on 2 hands the number of times I laughed, and I would need many, many more hands and many, many more paws even to count the number of times when I was supposed to laugh.
Sure. How many times do you not laugh? Count that.
Yes, yeah.
Yeah, so I think Strays is very interesting because it's not a movie I find very funny, but
yeah.
I still enjoyed my time in it because I actually think that a lot of it is surprisingly well done. I think that the voice cast does a really good job. I think the CGI on the dog's mouth is actually some of the most impressive I've seen ever on talking animals. And I found the writing in terms of character arcs to be pretty solid. And all of these elements are things that I guess because I didn't find the trailer funny, I didn't expect there to be quality in these other areas. So, while I will agree with you that I can also probably count on just my 2 hands how many times I laughed. I was in a small theater with not a lot of people. There was not an energy going into a comedy that would get you to laugh. But I enjoyed the other elements. I thought it was kind of clever sometimes, but I liked the characters and I liked the CGI and I kind of liked even, God forbid, the themes that they were going for. I mean, it did what Renfield was trying to do way better than what Renfield went for, which is the abusive relationship and the
I see. Okay.
Putting yourself before someone else, which is a theme that we criticize in Renfield, and Strays does that so much better. So I'm not going to be critiquing this so much as a comedy, but more as the other things that I think it does surprisingly well.
Tucker, I commend you for that.
Sure.
Frankly, the character arcs in something or whatever of Strays is not something that I'm ever going to think about.
Sure.
But on a base level, yeah. I mean, they made a character arc that was well done. They didn't fumble it so hard that I'm and the character arcs made no sense because they did. But you can find those character arcs in 99% of other media.
Yeah.
Just a character arc that is constructed like that.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, to be fair to the movie, yes, that is a strength of the film, is that they have solid character arcs and yes, tackle a topic like that. But ultimately, what Strays brands itself as another one of these bringing back the raunchy R-rated comedy in 2023. And comedy is purely subjective, so maybe it isn't fully useful to fall down this rabbit hole of just talking about how the jokes are unfunny, because that is sort of a a one beat critique unto itself.
Yeah.
So yeah, I think we can talk about some of the. Let's talk about the performances and
Sure.
the characters maybe instead of just any of the other elements.
Yeah, well, the characters, which the characters I thought were interesting because there's 4 of them and they have different personalities, and yeah, that sounds pretty basic, but over the course of the movie you learn enough about them, and I'm enjoying the performances enough where I'm like, hey, you know what, I kind of like the bond that's formed between these 4 characters and the adventure that are going on. It's a road trip movie ostensibly. I didn't expect it to be this like group of friends movie, because they don't really center on that in the trailer, because it's just like rapid firing the dick and poop and dog jokes for the trailer. But the movie is actually more so about a group of 4 characters like getting to know one another and like talking to each other about their insecurities and then being placed into funny scenarios, to where that was kind of my takeaway for it. You're right, I'm not going to think back like, oh man, the character arcs in Strays were so good, but it is an element that surprised me because again, they didn't play into the marketing at all. And by the end of the movie, when each one of them is getting like payoff to the insecurities that they've had or the histories that they've gone through, I'm like, no, I find this pretty compelling and well done.
Yeah, I mean, I also have to point to the performers as well. Because who do we have? We obviously have Will Ferrell as Reggie. You have Jamie Foxx as Bug. But you also have Isla Fisher and Randall Park as Maggie and Hunter.
Yeah.
And yeah, I mean, these are all pretty well-storied performers. I've liked them before and other things. And while we don't primarily think of them as voice actors, they do turn in good vocal performances.
Yeah. Yeah, and I think Will Ferrell is the most interesting one there. Excuse me, because he's really playing on his voice from Elf. And he's got the personality of like,
because he's doing his like his sort of lighthearted, cheery elf voice. You're absolutely right.
Yeah, a little bit higher pitched, and because I've seen Elf probably too many times to be honest, the association with that voice in an inappropriate movie does create a really interesting like turn on its head, and that's kind of what this movie is sold on. It's like, oh, innocent, funny dog is put into scenarios where we're gonna say sex jokes and penis jokes and poop jokes. And that is the element where there's, I definitely noticed what you're saying, where there's like a disconnect of like, okay, it's just not that funny when those jokes are trying to land. But I think Will Ferrell did a really good job sort of recreating that personality that you might associate him with from something like Elf and being put into this other scenario.
Yeah, I mean, Will Ferrell's comedic talents cannot be undersold in any project that he works on, and Strays is no excuse, or no exception. What I'm looking for. No exception.
Yes,
thank you.
Yes.
There's no exception to that.
Strays is no excuse.
It is no excuse. There is no excuse for Strays. But so we also have like bit parts. Will Forte is one of those. More than a bit part, obviously.
Yeah.
But like, he's just good as like just a scum of the earth dude.
Yeah.
Just a really shitty guy who is detestable in every sense of the word, and that is necessary for the whole. Reggie feels abused, but is also drawn to him as sort of his pet and the only human that he's ever known. But you also have who else do you have? I liked Rob Riggle as the police dog, I guess.
Oh, sure.
He's
He was funny. Yeah.
Yeah. I don't know. I think it's just solid.
Yeah.
These vocal performances. They are certainly not the issue with the movie.
Yeah. Yeah, why don't you draw a little bit in on your issues with the comedy, though, because that was what impacted your experience so much. We gotta give some time to it.
So, my review on Letterboxd says this is the perfect comedy for people whose sense of humor and cultural touchstones haven't changed since 2013.
Sure.
Because I think I don't know a lot about the production of this movie, but I believe it's been in production hell, if you want to say, for a while now. It was initially supposed to be an animated film as well, and I think you can kind of feel that. I think they don't go for a lot of modern references, which I appreciate because that would have just furthered dating this film.
Yeah,
but there's moments. Like the wrecking ball needle drop over the ending of the film, where I'm like, it really clued me in to the type of person that this movie is trying to target, and there's nothing wrong with that.
Yeah,
that it's just a demographic that's different from me specifically, who my brand of comedy is like, I think you should leave, and the rehearsal and stuff like that. That is very postmodern, I guess you could say, very maybe even post-ironic in
Yeah.
its comedic stylings, where this is more to the tune of stuff that Will Ferrell has done in the past,
Sure.
frankly, where we are doing gross out comedy. And we also oscillate wildly into sometimes just like dog puns. Not necessarily like raunchy ones, just like jokes about dogs.
Yeah, like just like inserting the words pause or rough or bark or whatever occasionally into sentences.
Exactly. So we're trying to do both of these camps, and I don't find either of them particularly funny.
Sure.
I like a raunchy comedy, but
Yeah.
you really have to be creative with it in my mind, outside of showing piles of dog poop and dog dicks or whatever.
Yeah. Well, what's interesting about the like potty humor aspect of this movie is, well, I thought those were the moments that were the least clever. They also, oddly enough, felt the most unique to me because I haven't seen a movie that's tried to do potty humor on the big screen in a very long time. So when the point of the joke and the point of the scene is try to get a dog horny so his dick goes as far as it can, I'm like, I'm surprised they're doing this. Like, I didn't find it super funny, but it was like, okay, this is kind of clever that they're like using this scenario in this way. But I agree that it felt a lot like SNL sketchy. Like you'd see this as like a 3 or 4 minute trailer for a fake movie on SNL. It's like, what if dogs said curse words? And so then we're gonna get Will Ferrell and Jamie Foxx just saying shitballs and fuckwad like over and over and over again, and that like desensitized me, I think, to a lot of the comedy, because this movie has kind of one comedic note: is dogs are saying inappropriate things and putting in inappropriate scenarios, and it doesn't really fluctuate too far from that. So by the time we're at the end and there's another shitballs joke, I'm like, yeah, you've told me this another 15 times in this movie.
Yeah. Let me tell you about the jokes that I did like,
okay, sure.
And maybe we can try to draw out the differences here. I liked the narration dog.
Oh, that was funny. Yeah.
I did like the who is that voice by? I think that's Josh Gad.
Sure.
I want to say
he's not credited here on Letterboxd, but might be.
Sure. Okay. I think that's who it was. And then the joke about like his owner being a serial killer or whatever. I was like, that's a solid joke. I like that.
There was a lot of half smile jokes. I'm like,
yeah,
the corner of my mouth went up.
I saw it coming from the setup, but the thing about the rabbits and them like tripping on drugs or whatever. Yeah, I saw it coming, but like, okay, it's well executed. It's sort of a play on this like high on drugs, accidentally committing a crime, committing a heinous murder, and then reckoning with it the morning after or whatever. Solid stuff. That's all right. There was one line that fucking got all of us in the theater, and that was when the 3 dogs bust into Will Forte's house at the end, and he just says, "Who are these dogs?"
Yeah.
I don't know why that got us. I think it's because it's just such a stupid line that maybe it is just more in line with like my comedic tastes.
Sure.
But I'm like, that one got me for whatever reason. So much so that we laughed over the less funny, like maybe punchline of that joke, which is, it's like a dog movie in here.
Oh, yeah, that I did not like. And
exactly,
I think you're right, is that it does swing between like those kind of comedic stylings occasionally. And then when the punchline of that is, it's like a dog movie, I'm like, nope, you don't got me here. I'm not laughing at that. I'm not fucking falling for it. I'm not falling for it. Paramount? Universal? Who the fuck made that? I don't know.
I don't know.
But I had a few jokes that I thought were pretty clever. I think most of them, none of them were the ones that I saw in the trailer. I thought that the gnome joke that we all thought was okay, that's kind of funny from the trailer, continued a couple of times to where I thought
it was solid.
I thought one thing I actually think this movie does pretty well at is establishing things earlier on and then returning to them, like when you've thought that they were completely gone, like the couch that bug fucked showing up a couple times.
Just callbacks.
Like the dog Bugsy that's like insulting Hunter at the dog park coming back a couple times. And one of those sequences that really pulls all that together is the drug trip, which I think the least funny ones were the ones I'd seen 30 times in the trailer, which is, look at my human hands, and oh, you look different, and the cone's getting bigger. I don't care about that. But I like the bunny aspect of it, and the fact that they're like hiding the drugs, like, what? Huh? No, officer, we never killed a bunny in our life. What are you talking about? I thought that was pretty clever. Or not clever, but funny. I thought I enjoyed that joke. And I also like the, like, humans are taking dog poop to make do something with it.
Chocolate?
Yeah, and so
Yeah.
Bug says it's chocolate, and they bring that back a couple times, and they're like, oh, another dog in like the jail cell is like, oh, they're taking the poop, and then someone like a dog in the back says, oh, yeah, it's for the chocolate, and
Yeah.
it was like a background thing. It wasn't even a punchline. I'm like, that's they like thought about this. They brought back a punchline, and it was those callbacks that even if I wasn't laughing at the first time it showed up, Bug fucking a couch. Okay, fine. That's whatever. He calls it Dolores.
Get it. It's something that dogs do. Yeah.
But when the couch comes back in the drug sequence, and he has like an ex-girlfriend moment with it, and then it gets picked up by the bird, I'm like, okay, you like combined like 3 different things here, and that ended up feeling a little more clever utilization of those things. Like, okay, it was easy to say dog fucked a couch and it's his girlfriend. But when he's tripping and the couch comes back as his girlfriend and he's like having a fight with
the voice of Sofia Vergara.
Oh, that's funny. That's funny.
Yeah.
But then that I think was where I found the humor to be at its best, is when it was taking the things that were simple but then putting a spin on them so much later that I thought they wouldn't be brought up.
Yeah. And that drug sequence really is like a quick rundown of all the jokes that we've had in the first 2 acts of the movie thus far.
Doug is like shaving his balls and there's like a huge pile of hair, and then the gnome child comes out of it and he's like, aha, I told him where you were or whatever. I thought that was pretty clever.
Yeah, it really serves as a thing of like, it reminds you of the jokes that you liked and the jokes that you didn't like, which it ultimately ends up being pro and con at the end of the day with that sequence. But yeah, so I don't know. Should you go see Strays in theaters?
No, I don't think so.
No.
And I think I wouldn't recommend it because I think this movie is supposed to be at its best, or is intended at its best, when you have a big group of people who all find this kind of comedy funny.
Yeah.
And so the unfortunate thing is, this movie's not making any money. No one's going to go see it. It's really hard to market something like this. And so there's not really an optimal way to see Strays. Like, going on, I guess, maybe the opening night premiere or something would have been probably a lot of fun and certainly helped my enjoyment of this movie. But because this movie, I mean, it's had fine marketing in terms of having a trailer out for a while, but it doesn't seem to be appealing to the modern audience. I went and there was like 6 other people and I never heard another laugh. And by that metric, I never laughed.
Yeah. We had a group of people behind us, probably 4 or 5 people behind us who were probably 10, 15, 20 years older than us, who were laughing consistently at the movie. And that's the demographic that this movie's for. When we were walking out, one of our friends, I don't remember who, said, this movie is really for people who remember Will Ferrell comedies of the 2000s, but now, like, have had kids, have been just inundated with, like, kid-oriented comedy, and going back to this and having that like memory and having that sense of humor culturally and generationally. And sure, absolutely. And if it works for that demographic, more power to you. Yeah. But it's just not for me.
Yeah. And I feel lucky that I'm somewhere in the middle, because I feel like I'm able to appreciate Strays, even though I didn't find it funny. I found it an interesting enough idea. The idea of these dogs wanting to go bite a dick off, I thought that was kind of stupid and clever. The idea that we're using real life animals and CGI mouses. The fucking dog actors, man, they did a great job in this. I mean,
honestly, yes, absolutely. I mean, you kind of forget about it when you're just like watching it, but you're right when you think about it, like. They had, like, real dogs doing most of that. Obviously, there's some moments where CGI takes over when they get picked up by a falcon or whatever. But for a majority of it, when we're doing, like, Reggie has to, like, break into a warehouse or whatever to go get his tennis ball, it's like, yeah, they trained a dog to do that. Or, training a dog to, like, hump a couch or whatever. Yeah. That's something.
Yeah, for me, it was more in the, like, conversational elements, because even though it was, like, reverse shot of a dog, like, in a shallow field of view sitting in front of grass for most of those conversations, I do think that the dog actors that they used, like tilting their head at the right time or lifting their paw, I'm like, that certainly adds a lot more personality to this, because both the biggest strength and biggest weakness of using animals as your main characters, there's not a lot of life in the dog's eyes. Like, they don't have expressive eyes. So the physical movements of them tilting their head or lifting their paw or spinning
That's what you got to rely on.
That's what they rely on. And then that combined with the mouth animation and the performance, while there wasn't a lot of facial acting going on, it sold me on these characters. And because the CGI was great and because the dogs were acting at their best, I'm like, they I don't even know how this movie was made, to be honest. Like, the amount of takes of just like, oh, the dog didn't do the thing we fucking wanted. Oh, well, we gotta, like, just wait till it happens.
Tucker, I'm sure if you buy the Strays Blu-ray, there's gonna be a lot of that. There's gonna be a lot of bloopers of that.
But I just think that it's distinct because of that. And I respect it because it leans into a side of filmmaking that's not often done, which is we don't really see a lot of animals in movies anymore. Because
animal movies have certainly become less prevalent, but I don't know. I think that it's not something that surprises me because there are plenty of animal movies out there. Our friends were comparing it to a movie they recently watched, Show Dogs.
Okay, not familiar with that,
which is another like animal movie with animated mouths and celebrity voice actors. Yeah. But like, it's certainly not the genre it maybe once was or ever was. Yeah. I don't know, but like for me, it's not something that I'm like, I'm surprised by this. I'm pleasantly surprised by this. I'm entertained by the prospect of the making of this movie. So, I'll say, I'll be a bit kinder to Strays in this review than I was on Letterboxd and give it a 3.8.
Sure.
Sure.
Yeah, and that's totally fair. Like, it's okay, but because it was grating to you and you didn't find a comedy movie funny, it's like, what's the fucking point? Like, that is an unenjoyable experience. I was able to find a little bit more to appreciate on the outside of the comedy, in the characters, in the performances, in the concept, and the CGI and all of that. So I'm going to go just a little bit above completely average at like a 6.1. Strays is a movie that appeals to other people, and I've actually listened to quite a few reviews after I've got out of seeing it, and there's some people that think this is laugh out loud ridiculously funny. I'm like, you know what? There were none of you in my theater. It wasn't me.
Where were they? Where's the Strays hive? Where's the hound dogs at? Where are my hound dogs at?
But if you are part of that demographic and this really appeals to you, it could become an instant classic that you're watching over and over again. But it's not that for us, and it will just become. No. Remember when we watched that movie about the shitting fucking dogs?
If you are part of the Strays pack, sound off in the comments. Oh, yeah. And let us know your favorite joke as well. Let us know your childhood pet and your favorite joke in Strays.
We'll talk to you guys later. We will? We'll review to you later. I don't know.
We'll review you later?
Whoa.